Hello, everybody. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest to high schoolers, and I am thinking my way through the Harvard Project Zero thinking routines. And if you'd like to help me with this cognitive load that it is, find me at studio-nemo.com or ping me on the Minecraft Education Ambassadors or in the Minecraft Teachers Lounge or on the Duolingo Educators Network. I'm very involved in all those things. Today, we are in the Investigating Objects and Systems section, and we're on slow complexity capture. Now, you'll notice that earlier we did all these other ones because they were all introduced in other categories, okay? And actually, this is the only one in the entire Investigating Objects and Systems because these other two were introduced earlier also. And again, this can be found at www.pz.harvard.edu/thinking-routines. Slow complexity capture is also in exploring art, images, and objects. So this is a routine for slowing down to look closely at complexity. It's kind of fun. When you've got a grammar lesson that you absolutely have to do, you're doing pop-up grammar, or you're doing the grammar translation method, or you're doing the audiolingual method, and you're looking at transformation drills and the students don't understand it, or you're doing community language learning and you're dissecting a script your class wrote, or you're working straight out of your textbook. Well, this thinking routine, the second part of it is just writing a letter describing it. So your students are going to get ample time to practice grammar with this. I make my students handwrite everything for two reasons. One is that handwriting has been shown to help the brain in memorization. And I could go on and on and on about character amnesia, or there's been so many studies showing that handwriting helps your brain, okay? And then secondly, if I let them take out the computers and they're trying to explain something complex, there is a real temptation to go to machine translation or what they're calling generative AI, but you and I know it's not really artificial intelligence. It's just a language scraping tool, okay? There's just too much of a temptation to go there, and I don't want my students going there, so they handwrite. It's fine. It's good for them. The other nice thing about this is the old Richard Feynman angle. So Richard Feynman said something along the lines of, you really only understand something well if you can explain it to a child. Okay, so when I'm teaching complicated grammar, I want my students, and I keep pushing my students, first of all, they have to explain it to an elbow partner in English if necessary. That's completely fine because then I know that they understand it. I want them to write it down on a piece of paper in their own words, but I have to keep reminding them constantly that it's not only completely acceptable, it's probably preferable to explain it in as simple terms as possible. Pretend you're explaining it to a very, very, very young child. Okay, and keep pushing them to use grammar and words they already know to describe this. When you're teaching literature, culture, history, or art, whatever item you choose, remember, you could have students draw it. That's fine. You could have students draw it from different angles. You could have students photograph it. You can have students photograph it from different angles. You can have them model it out of clay. And I have a lot of Play-Doh around my class because when I'm teaching Japanese, I use a dyslexic teaching method. I have my students make the similar looking hiragana or the similar looking katakana out of Play-Doh because just that three-dimensionality of it, that kinesthetic part of it helps them remember which way this is so, this is this is shi, this is tsu. They don't get it mixed up after that. This is sa, this is ki, this is chi. They look alike. And I remind them that in kindergarten, you always wrote bed backwards. You wrote it as deb when you were in kindergarten. So anyway, you can have them model it out of clay. And of course, you can also send them to Minecraft. There's a lot of pre-done templates for the students to build things on if you'd like. And you could hang out the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, ping me there, and we'll work through some ideas. In our next episode, we're going to create space for learning. This is the very first of the new ones in perspective taking. Hope to see you there.